the song that was very near and dear to me was Babel Meriyan Guddiyan Tere Kar Reh Janiyan. That was.
Can you sing a few bars? I don't know.
And that's what I already sing. And there was also a song, You Do Not Touch This.
Oh, yeah. Don't touch this. That's our MC Hammer.
107.7 Pulse FM, home of the 2019 federal election for Surrey and its neighboring cities. Hashtag Pulse Politics.
The Canadian federal election is coming up on October 21st. My name is Tara Lopez, and I'm joined in studio by Pulse FM's news director, Kevin Diakiw. Good morning, Kevin. And it's going to be an exciting debate that we have today because we have members of the NDP, the Conservatives, as well as the Liberals joining us in studio. So before we get started on the actual debate, if we could just kindly get you to mention to our listeners your name as well as the political riding or the political party that you are representing in the riding of Surrey Newton. Go ahead.
Thank you, Tara. My name is Harjit Singh Gill. I'm running from NDP party and Surrey Newton, obviously.
Good morning. My name is Sukh Dhaliwal and candidate for the Liberal Party of Canada.
Good morning, Kevin and Tara. My name is Harpreet Singh from the Conservative Party of Canada.
Good morning, gentlemen. Absolutely excited to be here with you guys.
Likewise.
Newton is always a place I park myself on election night. Always exciting. We never know how this is going to turn out. We want to first start out by getting to find out what motivates you guys to run for politics in the first place, and ask you what the major issue you're finding out in the riding is most important. And I'd like to start out with Harjit Singh Gill with the NDP. What motivates you to run for politics, and also what do you see as the most important issue in the riding?
Thank you, Kevin. I started my career lately in broadcasting from last 10 years, from 2010. Every day we were discussing on air a variety of issues from community, and those are the issues I used to get awareness for the public. But eventually, at the end, there was no solution in my hand. So the phone calls were ringing all day. What we have to do? What is the mechanism? That's what it started to. So that's how I wanted to get in this. Let's find out what is not proper there, how we can fix there. In Surrey Newton, there are a variety of issues. First of all, the crime. Crime is the major, as you were and I was covering, that drive-by shootings, killings, and then drugs, marijuana, then affordability, then infrastructure. Those are the major issues.
Thank you very much, Harjit. And Sukh Dhaliwal, same question. What motivates you and what's some top issue in the riding?
Thanks, Kevin. At a very early age, my dad instilled in me the importance of helping others. And when I moved in this community helped me to succeed in business and in my personal life. I want to give it back to the community and to the society. That is what has guided me throughout my time in politics. My passion for serving the community is what keeps me going. And there are three things. Number one, most important thing for me is the accessibility, stand with the community, and help them with their issues on day-to-day basis. That gives me satisfaction.
And the issues?
Issues are the crime and the affordability are those two issues. When we have knocked on almost 7,000 doors, and that's what's coming up.
Okay, thank you so much. And to Harpreet Singh, same question. What motivates you and what do you see as the top issues?
So I've been a journalist for the past 27 years, and during this period I came to Canada in 2002. And since then I've been in broadcasting, and a lot of talks we have been having, whereby we have been having the politicians, but the issues are still the same. The issues of crime, affordability. When I landed over here, this was the same thing I used to hear, and today again that's the same thing which is continuing. So basically my purpose of jumping into this race is very simple. It's not for name or fame. I'm already well known in the community because of my journalistic career. But unless you jump into this race and you have the power, you cannot change the policies. So I'll focus on involving the community in decision making and also use my talent to get the things solved. For example, crime and affordability, which are the main issues which we are hearing from the people.
Okay. Thank you very much, Harpreet.
The Canadian federal election is coming up on October 21st, and today's featured debate is Surrey Newton. We do have representatives in the House from various political parties, the NDP's Harjit Gill, the Conservative Party's Harpreet Singh, and Liberal Sukh Dhaliwal. Thank you so much for being here. We're joined by Pulse FM's news director, Kevin Diakiw. My name is Tara Lopez. Are we ready to spin the wheel of issues?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do this.
Healthcare
is going to be
and
the
we're going
first
to
issue.
Liberal candidate Sukh Dhaliwal first for his discussion on healthcare. What's broken and how do we fix it?
The healthcare, we have to invest in family physicians. Right now, if you go into Surrey Newton, the people are saying there's long lineups when it comes to seeing their family physician and also the prescription drugs as well. So what we are going to do is we are going to invest $6 billion to make sure that we work with the provinces to bring in more family physicians, help the people with mental health issues, and also the home care. And we have also had the report ready to implement the pharmacare. We have already brought in a plan where we can buy a whole bunch of drugs and give it to the pharmaceutical companies back, and that's how people are saving money. We have already saved $1 billion for the Canadians, and we are going to implement the pharmacare report that we have in place.
Thank you very much, Len. I need to do a follow-up here. You say you want to bring more family physicians in. This has long been a bear for this province to try and bring physicians here. We've been trying. It hasn't worked. What are you going to try that's new?
The simple way is that we have to put resources in. As we said, $6 billion. That's going to help the new family physicians that want to move into BC. We will give them the incentives as the other places does. And I have two daughters. Both are doctors, and one is going to be finishing off her last year residency in family physician. I encourage her to come back to Surrey Newton, and that's where she's going to come back. And but the people, when she was talking to me earlier, she was willing to stay in US. I said, no way, because the incentive to work there was much better, but we're going to bring them back by giving incentives to those family physicians.
Thank you very much. Harjit, we're going to you with this now. Healthcare, how are you going to fix that problem?
This is long due, Kevin. It is top on our platform to get affordable pharmacare. Universal pharmacare with the prescription drugs and dental and mental coverage in that. If you look on the both dental and mental things, mental health care, this is very hard to get on those psychologists and psychiatrists. Same, 1 in 5 Canadians couldn't afford dental care. And same thing, to fix it, our kids are going abroad for get degrees from medicine, and they end up residency in the USA, and they are staying there. We have to get foreign credentials here approved by family of College of Physicians and Surgeons and get them on the job. If you go to any family doctor today in Surrey Newton, there's hour and hour 90 minutes wait, and people don't have access to physicians. So we have to start from root cause, and it has to be fixed. Doctors are driving taxis, and same time we don't have proper care there. So we have to get these things aligned, and that's how we can serve Canadians.
Thank you for that, Harjit. Now, just to follow up on this, are you talking about creating shortcuts with regards to transfer of training from foreign doctors?
I was thinking that just like a community clinic in Surrey Newton, they have nurses and infrastructure, but they don't have any doctor. Why don't we get a doctor from a taxi and doing security and get them conditional license, so he can take care for small, the flus and disease, which is not serious. So I've been through it. Once I moved here, I was a civil engineer working in Middle East. When I came, I ended up as a taxi driver because BCIT wants to go for me for 42 or 44 courses, and I had family to afford. So that's what I've been through it. And I need that to be fixed. It will serve our immigration streamline and serve our community.
Thank you very much, Harjit. Harpreet, same question over to you. What are we going to do about this healthcare problem?
We are in a major crisis while we are bringing more and more people, but we are not having that infrastructure. And that is the reason, even in an emergency room, we have to wait for 6 or 7 hours. An emergency means immediately you should be given the services. So what our party has said is that we will first of all maintain that 3% transfer from the Canada to the provinces, the 3% Canada health transfer.
Yeah.
And also our leader Andrew Scheer has announced we'll invest $1.5 billion in MRIs. It doesn't make any sense for the people to wait for even 6 months to get MRI scans done. So basically the transfer of money which the provinces need, this is what the federal government's job is. And the second thing is, as far as the credentials are to be recognized, we've already said we're going to recognize the foreign credentials and start working on these issues because Canada is changing at a fast pace right now. So we need to come up on board, get the best of the best into Canada because the talent is being misutilized. Like, for example, Harjit pointed out that doctors are driving taxis. That's unacceptable. At least a person, if he or she goes in their own field, they'll be much better than going into any other field. So we will focus on these aspects so that we can develop Canada into a much better country. It is the best, but still we want the persons who come over here don't get into depression. Mental health is a major crisis. While there are private organizations or NGOs who are working on this aspect, federally also we need to look into this aspect, and we'll be funding and helping these kind of organizations.
Thank you, Harpreet. Now you talked about make sure we have the best of the best and transferring credentials. Who's going to make sure that we have the best of the best, and how do we determine that transferring those credentials isn't going to put our healthcare users at risk?
See, first of all, a doctor from any country, he'll be much better. He has some knowledge about at least the compounds of the medicines as compared to a common person like me who has no knowledge. But when that person doesn't go into their own field, then they are struggling. Many of them are even going back also. And it is not just with the healthcare, with all the fields, all the educated people who are coming over here, they are brought here on the point system. But what is the purpose of bringing them here on the point system if their credentials are not recognized? So that is why we will focus on this aspect. And also, as far as healthcare is concerned, we need more hospitals in Surrey. We need more funding from the government. And this is the job of the representative who is elected from here to stand as a voice for the people. But unfortunately, we haven't seen this in the past. And this is where I and my government will work to involve the communities, the municipalities, the provinces, so that we are able to come up with something substantive.
Thank you very much.
With the Canadian election coming up on October 21st, today's featured debate is Surrey Newton. We do have joining us in studio the candidates from the Liberals, Conservatives, and NDP parties. We do have time to spin the wheel of issues one more time. Are you ready for this, everybody?
Yes. Yeah, that's
Here
good.
we go.
Let's go.
All right. Okay, today, right now we start with Harpreet with the Conservatives. Housing. What do we do to fix this problem?
So from Surrey Newton, what I have been hearing since the past 10 months, I have been campaigning. I have door knocked over 18,000 homes myself. And the major issue is, especially from the South Asian community, majority of the people are in the real estate. And they've been suffering because of the stress test which was introduced by the government. Right. So because of that, everybody has suffered. Our leader, Andrew Scheer, has already announced that as far as stress is concerned, we're going to review it. We're going to increase the amortization rates. We're going to use the federal reserves and work with municipalities to get more housing. And fourthly, to launch an investigation into the money laundering, where that money has come from and how it has impacted the common persons. And apart from that, we have already announced to give benefits and incentives to the people. We're going to scrap the carbon tax because that is not having an impact. And in BC, we have already seen it was imposed in 2008, but still the carbon emissions are going up. So saving that money will be going into the pockets of the people, because we believe that the government should not have any role in how the people spend the money. The people should be given the incentives, and they have the right to choose how they want to spend the money. So affordability and housing, they are correlated. And as far as housing is concerned, these are the four major issues on which we'll focus and work.
Okay. Thank you very much. Very brave of you to say that you're going to scrap the carbon tax. I'd be interested to find out what you'd be doing instead of that.
So basically what we'll be doing is we'll be investing in cleaner and greener technologies. Canada emits just 1.4% of the world's carbon emission. 98.6% is coming from other countries. China is 37%, India is 25%. So even if we don't have a border wall to stop pollution, it's an international fight. So we will use our influence as a global leader to involve countries like China and India, give them the technology they need, and fight this war globally.
Thank you very much, Harpreet. Harjit, with the NDP, we go over to you with housing. How are you going to fix this problem?
Affordability is the major issue, Kevin, and we have to go through that. Our leader promised already with Canadians we are going to build 500,000 new homes from coast to coast. They will be co-op, they will be low renting, and we have to retrofit the old houses also with a cleaner energy. We have to take care for the housing affordability. In the same time, the stress test killed this industry, specifically in Surrey Newton. There are about 70% of us who are working in this industry. They are sitting home. They are getting work 2 or 3 days in a week. And same thing, people on visit visa, they start to take their jobs. Who is going to pay $15 for a worker if they are getting for $5? There's multi-layer problems, and we have to solve that. Our stance is very clear on that. That affordability is the number one priority. We have to invest. It used to be a housing complex when I moved in 1997, Kevin, on 132 and 72. Those called the low co-op housing. It is gone. And the richer are getting richer and poor are getting poor. The big polluters, they are getting subsidies from the governments. And our Mr. Trudeau bought a pipeline for $4.5 billion, and which can ruin our coastline anytime if it's a leakage there or spill there. So we have to stay firm on that. Affordability is the major concern, and housing is number one.
Thank you, Harjit. Now I have to ask you, this $500,000 homes that you're going to be creating over the next 10 years, I'm hearing an estimate of $10 billion. I'm also hearing that is extremely conservative. How are you going to pay for that?
We have to put 1% tax on the wealthiest, who is earning $20 million plus every year, and the loopholes. $20 billion money is going away on the offshore accounts. We have to get that. Look on the issues. KPMG and other big firms, they are sending their money out. Island of Man, there's a small island, and there's one person residing in Victoria, and he's on tax credits, and same time he's getting millions of dollars coming back from that. We have to stop that. We have to be firm. The money is coming from there.
That's our 2 minutes. Sukh Dhaliwal, same question over to you. How are we going to fix this housing problem?
Housing, we already have started to take an action. If you look at over the past 4-year term, we have brought in a $40 billion home strategy. That is the first time ever, which has helped many. And we have already started to build affordable housing. And there is a project right here in Surrey, not only steps away from, 176 units, and 73 of them are already ready to go. And I've been there 3 weeks ago, and I was very happy to see that that plan is working, and it has reduced the homelessness by 25% already. And in fact, in future as well, because when we talk about a stress test, it's been in place for many, many years, even from Flaherty days, when Jim Flaherty was the minister.
Let me make sure I'm hearing you right. Housing isn't an issue because we've already fixed it. Is that what you're saying?
Housing, yes, that's what we are going to help is the first-time home buyers. In fact, we are the ones who brought in a plan that we will help with the down payment for the new home buyer, first-time home buyer, with 10% on a new construction and 5% on an old house. And this was for the $500,000 house, but now we are going to increase it to $793,000. So $800,000 home, first-time home buyer will get 10% On the new construction,
That's great for the
5%.
home buyers, but what about the zero vacancy rates? What are you going to do there?
Because that's where it's going to help. Because once we start to build the new construction, because when we have those numbers that I'm talking about, $800,000, it's going to have the market go, and it will help create more spaces.
Thank you very much, guys.
You're listening to Pulse Politics. Today's featured debate is Surrey Newton. Before we end and wrap up our program here, thank you
Here
very
it
much to
comes.
the Liberal, Conservatives, and NDP parties for joining us on today's show. We have one last, most difficult question for you. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Okay, the final question is, what was your most favorite song or singer from the 1990s? And it can be any artist, any singer, and if you just mention in one sentence or one word who that was or what that was.
Or sing it.
Awesome. Yeah, you could sing it as well if you'd like. Go ahead. We'll start with the NDP's Harjit Singh Gill and move on to the Liberals' Sukh Dhaliwal and end with the Conservatives' Harpreet Singh.
I shouldn't lie to Canadians. I was not here in 1990. I was in Punjab. I can sing. One was the famous singer Surjit Bindrakhia. He used to sing Dupatta Tera Sat Rang Da. This is a wrap-up cloth which our ladies have to cover their head, and this says a piece of cloth with rainbow. That's what it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Both my daughters were born in 1990s, and in fact, Punjabi song, as Harjit said, the song that was very near and dear to me was Babel Meriyan Guddiyan Tere Kar Reh Janiyan. That was
Can you sing a few bars? I don't know it.
That's what I already sing. And there was also a song, You Do Not Touch This.
Oh, yeah.
Don't touch this. That's right, MC Hammer. Okay.
Well, Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. That was a wonderful song which was quite prevalent at that time, and I used to enjoy that song.
Thank you very much, the Conservative Harpreet Singh, and to the Liberals, Sukh Dhaliwal, NDP's Harjit Singh Gill for joining us on today's Pulse Politics. We're going to be doing this again tomorrow, where we're going to be focusing on Surrey Fleetwood.
Thanks, Tara, and thanks, Kevin.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to
Thank you,
the
guys.
Pulse listeners.
We really
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
it, and
you.
we wish you the best on the federal election date of October 21st.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having
Thank you,
us.
Kevin and Tara.
Get informed with the next debate tomorrow with Pulse Mornings between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. #Pulse Politics.